Here live, we're celebrating the Phoenix 10K and half marathon. We've got the man who started it all, Dr. Art Mullen. Good morning to you.
Well, good morning, and thank you for the weather.
Yes.
I have to say that this is unbelievable. Perfect running weather, whether you're doing a 5K, a 10K, or a half marathon. And you know, the half marathon is something we just added about the last 5-6 years. So that's become one of the major events. You know, an interesting thing about the Phoenix 10K, which is the iconic running event in Arizona, 44 years, is the fact that the first year, 10% of the participants were women.
Really?
And 90% were men. This year, 60% women and 40% men.
That's incredible.
Which is really great. So the women have really embraced this race and feel like this is one of the running events that they want to be taking in.
And this has grown so tremendously since you started this back in the 70s.
Absolutely. Most of the people who run this race have run it for years. I just ran into someone who ran it, 15 years ago, and he said, I've run it every year since then. So the race course has changed over the years because of different things. You know, we started on Central Avenue. The original race actually was on the Canal Bank, and we anticipated 500 runners that year. We had 1,500. We've had world-class runners, Olympic athletes. Jesse Owens, the iconic Jesse Owens, he helped us to start the first race years ago. He came out and promoted it for us. So the event is part of the heritage of Arizona.
And the proceeds from this event go to your foundation.
Go to the Mullen Foundation for the Prevention of Childhood Obesity and Healthy Lifestyles, and we'll tell you more about that later on.
All right, Dr. Art's going to be hanging out with us throughout this morning. You can see behind us, this is kind of the expo, so we've got runners that are just starting to come in. The half marathon starts at 7 this morning. The 10K starts at 8 a.m., and then they've got the Mullen Mile for kids. That's right around 9:15. But this is always such a fun event, and I got to tell you guys, right now, weather is perfect. So I'll send it back to you in the studio. Live, I've got Dr. Art Mullen with us, and we're talking running, fact, fiction, myths. There's a lot of misconceptions out there when it comes to running.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people used to think that running caused arthritis in the knees, but they've done studies showing that less arthritis occurs in people who actually run on a regular basis.
So it's good.
It's good for you, absolutely. Use it or lose it. You know, the other thing is running in shoes that are more expensive doesn't necessarily make you run any faster. A lot of people think that, I'm going to get the most expensive shoe and I'm going to be able to cut 10 minutes off my running time, but that's not true. People often have thought that maybe running barefoot might be better, but they've suggested that actually running in high heels is better than running barefoot. So,
well, you never know what you're going to step on when you're running barefoot either, so that...
Exactly. So running in the most expensive shoes isn't going to make you run.
But you do want to get properly fitted for the right running shoe.
That's the most important thing, and I always suggest that people not run in a new pair of running shoes when they're running a race. You want to break them in for a period of maybe 2-3 weeks before you go out to run a race. The other thing is drinking fluids when you run. You can drink water. You don't necessarily need Sportaid or Gatorade.
Why would you drink Gatorade? When would you need it?
Then you would do it if you're running a half marathon or a full marathon, because then you want to replenish some of the sugar and some of the salt that you're losing while you're running.
5K, 10K, you're good with just
You're
water?
good with just water. Just drink copious amounts of water. A rule of thumb is 12 ounces of fluid, for basically every 30 minutes of exercise for some people. A lot of times when people are out there running, they haven't been checked out by their doctor. I think it's important, if you're just starting a running program, to basically get a stress electrocardiogram. Make sure you don't have any underlying heart disease or anything like that. If you're a beginning runner, you want to make sure that you run slowly in the beginning and don't run at a speed at which you can't carry on a normal conversation with people, because often people get burned out on running and they don't want to really continue with their running program because they're simply running too fast.
That's a good, definitely a good tip when you are starting out. Maybe start even on the treadmill and set it to maybe 4.0, 4.5 and get to know your breathing.
Absolutely. And if you think you don't have the right body type to be a runner, that's not true. I have some patients who weigh 300-400 pounds even, and they still can run marathons. So body type doesn't really matter unless you plan on becoming an Olympic athlete and winning the gold medal.
That's one thing I've learned from coming out to races over the years. All shapes, all sizes, all abilities, basically anyone can run.
And the great thing about the 3TV Phoenix 10K is it's one of the races races where we have more first-time participants than any other race. So if you're a beginning runner, come out and run the 3TV Phoenix 10K. It's competitive, but not that competitive.
And it's good because it's pretty flat.
It's pretty flat, and because of Kim, the weather is always perfect.
That's your guarantee right there, Noam. All right, so coming up at 9:15, we've got the Mullen Mile for kids. So that's in just a few minutes. But for now, I'll send it back to you live from downtown Phoenix.